Hello, welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube with myself, Mark Carlaw, and Riley Finch. Riley, mate. Mark Warburton was obviously brought into the club over the summer. We've had quite a fair bit of upheaval. Alan Irvine leaving, Stuart Pearce leaving, Warburton then coming in. When he was first appointed, we did a video on this, and I think we were both quite excited by the appointment. You know, the fact he's a decent manager. I think he's had some very good stints where he's been, and thought, well, how can this be a negative? And maybe it's not, but I do get the feeling that something's not right, and this appointment isn't quite working out at the moment. X has already spoken about previously on Patreon about Warburton being quite aloof with the players, not get very close, not the most warmest of people to work with, etc., which is whatever, that's fine. But you do kind of worry whether this appointment's backfiring, because the morale and the around this club doesn't feel the same at the moment. And I know there's been a lot of change at the football club, but do you get the feeling that this appointment of Mark Warburton is actually backfiring, and really we should have gone for someone more of an assistant level rather than getting in another manager?
Well, he's certainly not the best thing since sliced bread.
Oh,
You've
been waiting for that. You've been bloody waiting for that.
I was waiting for that.
It's terrible.
So my mate Lee, shout Lee, he's a QPR fan. So Warburton was obviously the QPR manager for a little while at a time.
Yeah,
and he messaged me the other day and said, I'm not surprised you guys are doing awful, because Warburton is a woeful manager. He's really bad. Like when we played under him, he played really, really slow from the back. There was no sort of big build-up play, and you can kind of see that now. I mean, I remember that video we did back then. We sort of said one thing we're not great at is keeping hold of the ball. We lose it really easily, and Warburton obviously plays like a possession style football, so he's come in to help with the passing. And funny enough, we've gotten worse with the passing, worse with the possession. I think later video we're going to be talking about stats, and we are very low down in them for both passing and possession, all that sort of stuff. So I'm very surprised to see that. And my friend Lee, a QPR fan, literally said, I'm not shocked at all. Like I don't know how he's managed to get managerial positions in where he has. Like, obviously, this isn't me saying this is a QPR fans account. So but he seems to think he's a big problem as to what's going wrong at West Ham at the moment. So it's an interesting to hear that.
It is, yeah. I mean, it's a shame to hear that. I mean, I always just think that realistically, you don't want to have people coming into roles that are beneath them. You know what I mean? It's not a big thing. I just don't. At the end of the day, it was a little bit different with Stuart Pearce. I know Stuart Pearce was a manager, but I think he'd always stepped down. Hadn't been a manager for quite some time. I was quite happy to be a number 2 or a number 3 even. Warburton, as far as I understand it, was supposed to be was lined up to be the new Birmingham City manager. Obviously, there was a takeover going on at the time. David Sullivan had some involvement in it. I don't think necessarily in terms of his name was on it, but I think he was going to help fund it, etc. The takeover then didn't happen. Warburton was left a little bit, dangling, I think, because he was expecting to get the job. And then it's my understanding that then Sullivan went, "Well, there we go. If you're struggling for work, we've got a role going here. Do you want to work with David Moyes?" I get the impression, I don't know how true that is, but I might be wrong, whether this was kind of forced on David Moyes a little bit, and that would kind of make sense when you see what's going on at the club at the moment. Maybe this wasn't really whom David Moyes wanted to bring in. I'm not saying that they don't get on or there's a big problem there, but I just never really understand, why would you get another manager in? I mean, that's just about to be announced as the manager of Birmingham City. Birmingham City are not a small club, a club that are going to be pushing to get in the Premier League. It's not, it's not as if he was in, a non-league club not doing a lot and then thinking, well, I've been offered opportunity to go to West Ham and work. He was going to be working at a decent club anyway. So that doesn't strike me as a man that's quite keen to give up. It's not going to be a manager. He's stepping back from it. He was just about to be announced as one. So you do wonder whether this is working, whether the actually having Mark Warburton at the club is backfiring, because he's got someone actually at the club that he's probably used to making the decisions, used to having a bit more of a voice. And you do wonder what that's going to be like then, having Moyes. Effectively, you've got 2 managers at the club. That's what we've got. And then I do think that's going to add to confusion and pull people in different directions. If you've got a manager that's got one style or someone's got something slightly different, he's obviously got quite a big voice. So has David Moyes. I do get the fear, mate, that this is really not working at all, and that this is having a real negative effect on the players, on morale, on everything. Because let's be honest, mate, we are flat at the moment, and performances our players do not look like a happy bunch of people. You know, we've been used to the last couple of years a real buzz around West Ham, and you can see the players all working for each other, and that seems to have gone at the moment. And I don't want to point the finger at Mark Warburton because I'm not saying that's the reason why it is, but there's certainly there's no smoke without fire at the end of the day, and we are hearing noises that there are issues behind the scenes, and I'm starting to wonder, mate, whether they've really cocked up here and they might need to change this and fast. Do you think they should do? Do you think that if there is an issue here, they need to deal with it fast and maybe remove Mark from the club?
Mate, it's a difficult one. I mean, it's hard to pinpoint exactly where we're going wrong at the moment, but Stuart Pearce and Alan Irvine were top tier. They were so good for us, and I think bringing in someone like Warburton, it was always going to be a bit of a risk. You know, like I say there is a bit of a power struggle. I don't know what's available. What would be better? I mean, we were playing better football when Warburton wasn't here, but is that because Stuart Pearce was just the missing piece to Moyes' puzzle, or because Warburton's crap? Like it's kind of hard to ascertain it. One thing I will say is, if you look at it from a point of view that he was supposed to come in to fix one specific thing, which was our sort of hand on the ball, possession football, the passing, then he's obviously failed because we've gotten worse at that. So that to me suggests that he's clearly out of his depth, which is interesting considering he is a manager. You know, like you say, this is kind of beneath him a little bit. I mean, I know towards the end of their careers, a lot of managers will do that, but he clearly wanted still to be in management if he wanted to go to Birmingham. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it was a good appointment. Like you say, didn't seem like a Moyes appointment. But I don't know who's available. I don't know exactly what would fix what problem. Like it's a complicated one when you talk about things from behind the scenes, isn't it? Like it's a difficult one. But I just miss Stuart Pearce. I think he was a great presence in the dressing room. I think he was always trying to roll players up, which is quite good. And I can imagine Warburton's on a bit of dough as well. So I think we do need to maybe get him off that if he's just not performing at the moment.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, if it isn't working, which let's be honest, mate, it isn't at the moment. I'm not to say it won't turn around, but like you say, things aren't right at the moment. And if it is down to that fact that if it just isn't working in terms of having Mark Warburton at the football club, then the club need to act fast. Obviously, we've got Mark Noble back at the football club starting in January. He's going to have quite a fair bit of say, I believe, in the football side of the operation. He's going to be working with David Moyes. I'm sure that if he feels that there's a problem with Mark Warburton being at the club or it's just not working out, he'll be very vocal about it and want to change it. I mean, at the end of the day, as you say, it's very difficult because we're not behind the scenes. We're not working with them. We don't know exactly what's going on. But I mean, it doesn't take a genius to work out that things aren't right. And if the dynamics of having Warburton at the club and another manager working with our manager is just simply not working, then the club need to act fast because there's something, as you say, we can't bring Stuart Pearce back. We know we want to move on. Same with Alan Irvine, which is such a shame. But if there's anyone out there that Moyes has got, can trust and would bring into that role, who's more suited for more of an assistant position rather than actually a manager that's coming in to take a step down, then I think we should be going for that personally. Because, like you say, if he is coming to help us with possession and help with our ball distribution, then Jesus Christ, I mean, he's failing miserably, like you say, mate. And absolutely.
Yeah, it's difficult ones kind of assess, like you said, but I don't know. It just seems like it's all crumbling down for him at the moment.
It is, mate. It'd be interesting to see how this all pans out, and obviously Mark Noble coming back will, I think, will shake a few things up as well.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Totally.
Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers.